whose remarkable career embodies the spirit of dialogue and diversity. Dr. Ghosh was born in Kolkata in 1961 and graduated from the prestigious Presidency College under Calcutta University. She later earned her PhD from the Taras Shevchenko National University of Kiev in Ukraine, a country that has since become a central part of her life's work. An international historian, political scientist, and journalist, Dr. Ghosh has worked with the United Nations and served as an economist magazine. She has also been a board member of the International Renaissance Foundation and currently serves as Associate Professor of International Relations at the National University of Kiev Mridula Academy. She heads the East European Development Institute, where she leads a range of impactful human rights and democracy building projects. Dr. Ghosh's intellectual and artistic contributions extend beyond academia. She is the first person to translate Ukrainian literature into Bengali. Her acclaimed 2011 anthology, Ukraine Albona, Ukrainsky Vizirimno, introduced readers to 28 Ukrainian poets, bridging centuries and cultures. She also translated Lesya Ukrainka's timeless drama Forest Song in 2012. A poet, translator, choreographer, and director, Dr. Ghosh brings art and scholarship together in powerful ways. As one of the founders of the Tagore Center, she has created numerous intercultural initiatives celebrating shared creativity. In 2012, she hosted a live television program, Pro Swit, or About the World, further carrying her message of understanding to a wider audience. Please give a warm welcome to Dr. Mridula Ghosh, a true ambassador of humanities, learning, and cultural harmony.
Thank you. Thank you for that the introduction. I don't know if I deserve it, but let's see. Today, I will travel through the festivals, which will be, I would like you to enjoy the discussion, ask me questions, and I hope it is not so academic. It is more, I will like to put your attention to the ways resilience works in Ukraine, because despite the troubles it had over centuries, and right now, Ukraine is passing through a very difficult time, we still do not miss talking about festivals, talking about happiness, talking about everything. Just a small example. Yesterday night, around midnight, we have 24 hours, the alert sirens, and we have to hide. So at some point for about an hour, I was in the shelter, in the corridor hiding. And I started laughing with my friend because, without laughter, without merriment, even during the hardest of times, you can't really pass the time. It's very paradoxical. I never thought I would be able to laugh at such times, but it has become like that. So I straight go to the presentation that I prepared for you, which contains a lot of slides just for visual effect, because I would love you to visit Ukraine and look at them. But the thing is that we can do it from a distance. And please let me know if you're able to view the presentation that I have prepared. Yes, okay. So yes, now now I start. I'll make a few introductions. As I said, it will not be very academic. It will be more of a multidisciplinary, more cultural studies, and also some things of, the major festivals which are there. There are hundreds and hundreds of festivals. It's a big country and it has a huge diversity from one region to another. It's extremely difficult to push it into 1 hour or 1.5 hour lecture. So my basic thoughts, I will put down certain basic thoughts, and then we move on to, I will pick up certain festivals, a few of them only, because it is difficult to, again, expand, but I'm ready to take your questions and expand on others. So Sworn in soil. Why did I give the name of the lecture? I was trying to struggle with how to name it. Just for festivals, it will look very bland. So it has a spiritual content. Ukraine's festivals, in any country, it has spiritual. I would not say just it is about Ukraine, but today my task is to show you how it matters for Ukraine. So it is sown in soil. The soil is an important part of Ukrainian life, not because just it was a breadbasket of Europe. It produces the huge number of grains, which feeds a lot of countries in the world. As you know, it is having a big Black Sea coast, part of which is now occupied, unfortunately, but nature and human life were integrated, as in many civilizations. But Ukrainians seem to, this is my feeling coming from India, how I could see that the forces of nature and worshipping the forces of nature has gone so deep into the Ukrainian mind and the Ukrainian society, so that it is a very symbolic. And many a time, I would say it crosses history, it crosses regimes, it crosses all territorial changes that have taken place on this huge piece of land that we call Ukraine today. The Trypillian era was the earliest civilization, which has a very important, I would say it predates, it almost the same dates as the Harappan civilization. It is partly covered the Romanians, Carpathian, and the Ukrainian Bukovina and some other places, the southwest and other parts. But this civilization had a huge respect for the soil and a lot of terracotta and a lot of things, the remnants that were found even near to Kiev. It is called the Tripilya or Kukuteni civilization. Since from then till, the Middle Ages, and a lot of things have changed, but entry of Christianity, which is also a very, very old religion. It's 988 that Ukraine got introduction of Christianity by King Volodymyr, was the king of Kiev, the prince of Kiev. And so the Christian and the traditions and also the old traditions did not die. So it meant it it gave a very meaningful addition to it. And so the life cycle ceremonies were important. It is not just a collective effort. Festivals are collective, they are social, but it circles around basically the family, the birth of a human being till the death. So it is basically a unit of a society, which is the individual and the family, and then it ranges beyond. I would like to tell a few words about this because the genesis of the festivals come exactly from that, and the elements of nature, relation to soil, and relation to all the other natural forces. Let's say the birth is very much hailed because the child, and as I say, you can find a lot of similarities also with certain Indian traditions because you have to protect the child from the evil eye, which is, we have it, so, and then the first haircut is done not before 5 to 7 months. And also the godparents has to be chosen, and the godfather first takes, the haircut is made. Of course, the baptizing takes place, giving the name, and everything else, like inviting people. It's a huge event. Now, another event in human life is the wedding. The wedding has a huge elaborate rituals which continues for 3 days in a village. In urban settings, it may be small, but still people are in the celebratory mode all the time, at least for a week. And of course, as beginning, the end also has a lot of rituals, and it is celebrating the achievements of the human being. As the human being passes away, there are those rituals which are performed, and they are interconnected, of course, with religious rituals and also with social. So these rituals and everything have been interconnected with certain folk ideas and folk practices. And one of the things is appropriate clothing. the clothing was so important because again homespun, because Ukraine had this, we had the charka, but Ukraine has this linen. They were making homespun linen, and they have the embroideries, beautifully articulate embroideries all over the country, and in every region the embroidery differs. And the Ukrainian shirts called vishivanki is an extremely fashionable thing today, and you can find people wearing them on occasions, and it is a prestige to wear them. Like we have the kurti, we have these other different kaftan and kurti in different parts of India. And of course, we have also the saris for the women's wear. We have them everywhere else. Like the designs matter. The designs have a spoken language. So that is also very, very important. And in certain occasions, you wear a certain type of clothing. I would like to also highlight that there's a special cloth which you can say towel, but it's not really a towel because it is not for wiping. It's not a wipe cloth. It is much more than that. It is a long 3 to 5 meters long. It can be, but basically it is 1 to 3 meters, and it has elaborate embroidery. It's called rushnik. Rushnik is basically, the word means towel, but the format is that it is not a mat, it is a soft. And the role of rushnik is very important because the rushnik, it's on the rushnik the newlyweds stand. The rushnik is something that the newborn baby is taken to the church. So it's a it's a kind of an item which is very important in any Ukrainian home. And especially if you go to village homes, the rushniks are also, they are draping the icons. There's an icon corner, like we have the puja corner for Hindus. Every home has, so that there's a corner for prayers. So over there you have some icons, some other items. So icons, if they're there, so it is always, wrapped in a rushnik. So it is very, very significant. Now the rushniks have also in red, in other red and white basically. So it has this red and white. It's on the white background with red, and sometimes other colors also. Now the symbols. Symbols are very important. First of all, the sun. Even though, the sun god is also important in the northern countries because they are very much, in even Nordic culture, you will find the sun god predominant in pre-Christian cultures. But sun, the importance of sun for any civilization is very important. And of course, the sunflower, sun, and the symbol of sun is very important. And also it has this rolling sun, which is called the swarga, which is, you see the swarga, the word swarga or swarog, the god, you have it as a sun with the rays beaming. Botanical elements are also there, and different fruits and flowers, berries symbolize different things. So if, for example, the viburnum will be symbolizing sacrifice or symbolizing even love. Rose adequately. So sunflower, of course, abundance, and many other things. Now, the geometrical patterns also matter. The geometrical patterns, like the triangles, show certain Christian traditions are woven into it. I would say also there are wood carvings. Famous, you have the Carpathian Mountains, and especially in the west of Ukraine, wood carvings have taken things to a definite, very interesting level. Like the clay potteries in Opishna in Poltava Oblast, which is in the east of Ukraine, where it has enormously, a very important and elaborate tradition of pottery. I would say there are several of these, like Kosmach ceramics, also in the Carpathians. They are also, these things belong to the intangible traditions, and some of them are also in the list of UNESCO. With these, I would like to just tell you about certain, these the earth and the soil. Why the swan by soil? You can see these are the red poppy flowers and the fields. And here you can see the clay items from the Tripilya civilization. Here, these typical kinds of vases with the two mouth thing. And of course, here you can see the potteries, the basically every home can have these potteries, and they are in use. So you can see this potter making the thing, and of course with the straw and the hay, dolls are made, and there are many such, these are just some of the pictures that I have. And also there are folk traditions. You can see the different types of dresses, and I will, as I proceed with the presentation, I will be able to show you. But this is just at a glance to show you that these are the Vishivanka, and they have these shirts are the Vishivanka, and they have their elaborate embroideries, which are very important. Now I go to the Rushnik. As I said, Rushnik in a village home. You can see the Rushniks are everywhere being hung, and these are the Rushniks. Can you see them? These white color, big cloths, and they are everywhere. So you can see the types and the embroideries are so many. Like this, you can see draping the icon. Draping the icon is, as I said, one of the main things. And here you can see draping the icon, and also a portrait of the national poet Shevchenko. Here also it is draping an icon. These are extremely auspicious for any home. I would say the embroideries, can you see that these are especially mentioning, like, there are birds and there are also flora and fauna. You can see them here, and also different types of plants, and each type of plant symbolizes some other, but it is always pointing to bountifulness, to abundance, and to good harvest, and to good life, etc. So these are hand-woven rushniki. If they were embroidered, now we have a tradition of these hand-woven ones also. The hand-woven ones also make a big, and in fact, during weddings, the hand-woven rushniki will be laid on the floor, and the newlywed, when they come out of when they first enter the home, they stand on the rushniki. So it's a matter, rushniki is always a matter of good luck. And you can see also dark color threads are also used, not necessarily only red. You can see that the black, brown, blue, and beige and orange colors are also used. I would say that, showing this, it's basically festivals. When we talk of it, we talk of it as a creative space. And it is integrated, as I said, I repeat, with the nature and natural phenomenon. So it has a lot of harmony with nature. Of course, today in the technological age, we find it hard to understand, but because we have a lot of modern gadgets and other things, but deep into the traditions, if we go down, that what matters is soil, then water. Water has a very important role to play. Sanctifying things with water, which is happening more through religious ceremonies. Trees have a lot of role to play, and also light or fire, let's say. So the religious and folk identity matters a lot, and even in different state ceremonies and state protocols, Ukraine, a lot of these items, a lot of these, for example, the Vishivanka, for example, the laying down of the flowers and the wreaths and all many other things are observed, taking from the folk and the identity as it came through generations and thousands of years. And as I said, there's a pre-Christian and Christian mix. So you will not find it totally Christian, but it is pre-Christian era, but it has made into the mix. I can say it's an amalgamation. It is such a mix that it is very much organically combined, and it is not conflicting each other. So the mix is it means that the cultures and the norms and the practices have accepted themselves quite well and have been woven into the fabric of the society. There is a difference between rural space and urban space, because the urban space, you can't really invite the whole village for any event. The whole village is invited, but in urban settings, it is different. Definitely those space-related, geography-related differences are there, as in every country. But nevertheless, in urban centers also, the basic traditions, the basic motives are still observed. Like everyone will go with a basket with a lot of, painted eggs to the church for the Easter. Everyone will sit at home and have 12 dishes on the table and look at the star before having the dinner on the Christmas Eve. There are many such things which are unchanged. So my task today, I thought that I will just bring out certain of those uh, ancient messages that are given in some modern form, but I will just pick up a few festivals which have been not changing, and they will not be subject to any changes in politics, in changes in anything. They have been with the Ukrainians, and they will be as long as, our human species, we live in this world. So I want to start also with having said all about the visual elements, I would like to say about certain elements of songs. Songs are very much important in Ukrainian life. First of all, the Ukrainian language is very melodious, and Ukrainians sing beautifully, and almost every single Ukrainian can sing. I have not seen a single person who might be shy to sing, but still, if everybody is singing, the person will join in. Even in protests, people singing. Even in while people are soldiers are fighting, they are singing. In all conditions, songs are integral to Ukrainian culture. And it is said always that songs lead to the truth. Why do I say this? Because Ukraine has given a very important contribution to the world. As you know, the Carol of the Bells. Until recently, it was not known, but Carol of the Bells is an Ukrainian song, which is the Shchedrik. Carol of the Bells is a beautiful song sung during Christmas, and you have all heard it. If you have not, please today go to the YouTube and listen, and then please listen to the Ukrainian version of it, which is very, very interesting. So the Carol of the Bells is a Christmas gift to the world from the Ukrainians, and it is beautifully sung. It is a very beautiful song, and of course it is changed. The lyrics are changed in English. It is not translated directly, but the Shedrik is speaking of a swallow which comes and tells that, I'm here to tell you that, please wake up, your all your sheep are going to be very good. You will have bountiful, you will have a lot of money and prosperity. So it brings good news. That is the motive of the song, that a bird comes to sing to the farmer. So, but it's a beautiful song. Carol of the Bells is that bells are, ringing, and the Christmas has come. So it's a beautiful song. I have chosen certain things, but for the music, for those of you who are training in music, and many of you may do so, it is of course related to all the festivals. It is absolutely integral. And Ukrainian music has got a very specific, it is difficult. It is not difficult from the point of rhythm. Rhythm wise, you can find it okay. You might not find the complex classical rhythmic compositions that maybe Indian music has, with all the other complications of khayal and thumri and dadra and all that, the drupad. But if you have the general melismatic singing, the harmony part is very, very important. It has even third or fourth part harmony, which is quite difficult. And these things are not even found always in the Western classical tradition. So it's a little bit different. I'm talking about the authentic folk singing from the soil. Like we have the songs of the soil, from the authentic singing of the folk songs of each and every state in India. Now, the ritual songs I have said about the Shchedrik, but Hayivki is sung during the Easter, and also we have very interesting pentatonic scale in anhemitonic form. I mean, those of you who understand music can understand the spring songs. The spring songs are called Visnyanki. Vesna is spring. So when you are inviting spring, that is very important. And of course, these are very old songs. They are scales from the medieval period. Can you imagine? From the 17th century. And the structures of the melodies are very different. and it has some sadness, tension, and other things. It is a little bit different from the Russian folk songs. So all the cultures, they are different, they differ. So it is distinctly very different, Ukrainian singing. Why I say this is because if you want to delve deeper, you can try to find and you can do more readings on it, and festivals and music are integral. Now, I want to go straight to the three festivals that I have chosen. These are festivals not like it's all human, but it has come down to us for generations and it is existing everywhere in the world. New Year. New Year is celebrated everywhere. What is so special about the New Year in Ukraine? So I want to just tell you about the New Year, which is very very important, which is the Christmas basically. The old and the young, believers or atheists, they celebrated Christmas. Nevertheless, it is decked with Christmas trees, decorations and other lights and other things are coming. And of course, there is this, the Vertep performers are very much, they are very much there. And I'm, just a second, I lost my, where did I lose? No. Yeah, so the Christmas trees are decorated, and these you can find everywhere in Europe, everywhere in every capital. This is capital Kiev. This is the Christmas tree, which is unfortunately nowadays due to the war, it is not practiced, but it's a photo from the old times. And this is the tree in one of the villages. So the Carpathian mountain villages. So you can see that the trees are decorated and they are called, smereka over there. Now, food is very important and the nativity scenes in the cathedral. The birth of Christ is such an important event, and before the Orthodox calendar was different, so they were celebrating on the 6th of January. Today it has been harmonized, and like everyone in West Europe, Ukraine also celebrates on the 24th of December. Now, the very interesting tradition is that there is a fasting. Doesn't mean not eating. Fasting means you cannot eat meat, you cannot eat fish, you cannot eat egg, you cannot eat anything animal, and even butter. Butter or milk products are also considered animal products. So you have only vegetarian dishes. So you can take mushrooms, you can take all vegetables, and only oil you can use, not butter, not cheese. So the food in Christmas, even only after Christ is born, the dishes are basically, it is not containing any animal products. So they must have 12 such dishes on the table. 12 dishes are cooked, and sometimes, they are not 12 dishes, but maybe bread is one dish is salt, like that, 12 items on the table, let's say. So you can see here, you have all these different items on the table. And after the star comes out, the food in Christmas, the Eve dinner is very important, as in all traditions, and the family comes together and prays, and as a result, they have a nice Christmas Eve feast. We also have in urban settings or other places some kind of festivities, and I'm coming to that. Now we have Vertep performers. Vertep are carol, these young people who go around to sing in different neighborhoods. And the Vertep they perform, you can see they are performing different. They become the beer, or they have different roles, and they perform different types of characters. Like one will perform one will even be embodiment of different music and different. There is the embodiment of a Jewish person, of a person who is a Roma or a Gypsy. Then there will be from the society different people. This is called Vertep, the group. And the group goes around performing this in different homes. They knock at your door, they will come and sing. And then maybe you can give them either money or some fruits, or you can treat them with something. So you can see the Vertep performers in different parts. This is in a city. These are in different places, but you have the star. One person takes this holy star and goes around. I think, in many East European traditions also we have the same, but Vertep performing in west of Ukraine is a very important performance. And I would say I would special reference to Malanka. Malanka is something that is in the west of Ukraine. Malanka is actually it's a woman, but it is played by a man. And the man dresses up like a woman and tries to emulate one of the neighborhood, like everyone understands who the person is emulating. But at the same time, they have jokes and they make improvised kind of performance, which is very, very important. It has elements of folk theater, but it is not rehearsed like we do. A lot of rehearsals and going to the stage. It is absolutely from the heart, and people, they go from house to house. You can see this one is Malanka and her two suitors, and different other characters, like there is a woman with a broom and a man, and lot of these other characters which play. So Malanka is another very important element in Christian these Christmas celebrations. Malanka is also like then they will have the celebrations. It starts from the 24th and then it goes to the New Year. This is the New Year. So the New Year celebrations coincide with the Malanka celebrations. I would like to now say that you can see so many different types are there, and even in the back of the car you can see these characters. They are sitting and they are going around in villages. So this is a very important event. Now I want to take you to the Epiphany, which comes after the New Year. Like it comes around the 7th today. By the today's date, it is around the 7th or 13th. It is then they are. It is the time when Christ was baptized. So lakes and water resources are filled with ice, most of the places. Today, because of global warming, maybe it's not so much, but there are still places which are full of ice. So the idea is to get sanctified by using the water. The water was important. So the holes are made in the form of a cross. And you wouldn't believe, in those cold temperatures, people just dip into the water and take a holy dip. And this has been practiced by many, as you can see, the church, and there are a lot of people who even come to watch. Maybe they will not bathe, but they will watch. But you can see one plunging into the water, and this is ice, mind you. It is very cold. But at the same time, the water that it is believed that the water on that day becomes very sacred, and everybody says that it has healing properties. And so the water that night becomes something extraordinary, because all the water in the world becomes very special. This is very important, and it is very rejuvenating, that the treatment with water, how much water is necessary. Uh, you can see another holy dip with the cutout of the ice being broken, and this person is taking a dip. Anybody wanting, I believe that this is a fascinating thing. Although the dipping into the water is not the best fashion for everybody, only the most tough people, they can go, because they have good health and they believe in it, and not everyone risks that going into the dip, taking the dip into the very cold water. The next one I wanted to talk about is the Easter. The Easter is called Velik Den. The Velik is big and then is day. So Velik Den means a big day. The big day, the message is that it is the beginning of life. It is the resurrection of Christ, which is celebrated. And by the way, there are these breads, these are called Pascha, and these are baked. Every home bakes their own. You can buy it in the shop, but it is tradition to bake them at home, and it is definitely never. One of the very important things is, before the Easter, there is a very long fasting, also the Lent fasting, during which the 6 weeks people are not consuming again meat or any animal products. And this is observed today more and more by more and more families. This is very interesting, that people might not be very orthodox in their beliefs, but they still observe. Many people observe this fasting. And this is fasting, not again, not taking any food, but it is, they say it is good for the health. It gives you some detoxification. And today's wellness theorists will say certain things and adapt it to their purposes also, you know. So the ancient practices get new interpretations. We have a very interesting traditions. They are called pisanki. Pisanki means coloring the eggs. It is called krashanki, and pisanki is when you paint specific designs on the eggs. This is the Easter eggs. The real eggs, you know, they are sometimes the inner part are taken out and the shells are there. But sometimes, you know, the real eggs are painted, and of course, they are later on, they are consumed after getting sanctified at the church. But Pisanki is an art which is taught to children, and they learn it from childhood. And you can see the different designs of Pisanki, which is a very important. I want to say the richness of designs just is absolutely mesmerizing, because the designs that they have, an egg, why the Easter egg? Egg is a beginning of life. So this is that the symbolism of egg, the symbolism of the beginning, that the resurrection has taken place, and so there is eternal life. The message is very interesting, and the tradition is absolutely artistic. It is aesthetics mixed with a lot of spirituality, because the many of the symbols here you will find it has a lot of the pre-Christian traditions of the sun, of the stars, and flowers. You can see a lot of motifs are absolutely different, and colors, you can use different colors, and the designs are made by professionals, and there are people who are teaching the children, and there are studios which are doing, and there are masters in different places where they make beautiful this pisanki. An Easter procession also, you can now see spring has come. The color of the nature has changed. Everything is turning green. And Easter processions in also in villages and around the church. It is believed that after the service you come out and then you move around the church for a number of times, encircle the church, and then enter again. Of course, the main priest, after the service is over, comes and sanctifies the baskets. You can see people standing with a lot of baskets around with their food, and they would always prepare certain meat preparations. This is the day, the Easter Sunday, after this, the service whole night, the service takes place, the Mass, Easter Mass. After that, the main thing is that the lunch or the breakfast with the family, which contains already, there is definitely, they're breaking the fast. Exactly meaningful, because it is, they start again consuming animal products like meat or, you know, cheese and egg. Of course, the egg is important that day. You must have eggs, and, you know, children are made to like to fight with eggs, you know, whose egg is breaking whose egg, etc. So there are a lot of these smaller interesting elements. Easter service in a church is, of course, people just sit and people listen to the prayers and they pray. So it is also a very important event. The Easter Mass is attended by many people. It doesn't matter if the person is not going to the church every Sunday or not going every regularly, but on Easter, usually people visit the churches. You see now these, I told you that they take the baskets with a candle, with the bread that has been baked. The breads are very tasty, believe me. It is the Easter bread, and they put it in the basket and they stand, all people, and there are these church the fathers, they come and then they sprinkle holy water to sanctify those. Like we have the telling Om Shanti and giving the water blessings, you know, something very similar, I find. So it is very, very, it is human. You can see these priests just sprinkling water. It's even midnight and they are doing it with the candles in the hand. So this is how it is done to bless, and not only on the food, but the sprinkle goes on the human beings also. So the third festival that I want to say, because I need to leave questions and answer time also. So the summer fest. Now it's summer, we travel further. It's the Midsummer Festival, which is like called Ivana Kupalo. Ivan Kupalo's Summer Fest. It's absolutely a mixture of pre-Christian and Christian rituals because in Scandinavian countries you will find this festival is a very important one because they have uh, shining sun for almost a month. Even the sun doesn't set because it is white nights. And Ukraine doesn't have white nights, but definitely the day is very long. The nights become smaller uh, as summer comes, and it is close to the 7th, 6th of July. It happens in the Scandinavians. It is also around the end of June and beginning of July, depending on when the white nights come. So it is the midsummer, which means that if you count the summertime from May to August, it's the middle. Then this is an important event that Kupala, the word Kupate means to bath. Again, we have the water. If you had the water bathing in the rivers or in the ponds during the Epiphany, which is the time of baptism of the Christ, but it is bathing in the river in summer times. So you can see that this bathing is one of the rituals in this festival also, and there are certain very important things. A bonfire is lit, and people jump over the fire. Jumping over the fire also has lots of connotations, and I would like to say that my colleagues who are with me from the Ukrainian embassy can tell you huge number of stories and huge number of interpretations as to the pair who will hold their hands and jump over the fire. Then they will be sort of like sanctified to become the husband and wife kind of thing. So if they are friends or they are they are dating each other, so it can also be taken as that. But usually it is taken that if you jump over the fire, you pass over all obstacles, or you are cleansed. You're cleansed, you're sanctified. So again, I come back to this, that water and fire, they are cleansing us. And these are the basic forces of nature, which all civilizations appeal to, and no exception of the Ukrainians. There is also another thing. This is another jump. You can see the another jump is happening. So it's really a feat to jump above this fire. It's quite, I believe, to me, it looked quite dangerous. Now, one of the things, floating the wreaths. This is the time it is believed, in many European traditions. You will see, if you read Shakespeare's Midsummer Night's Dream also, if you read a lot of the novels that are there in Polish history, in Scandinavians, in German folklore, you can see that this period of the midsummer is associated with a lot of folk tales related to the spirits in the forest, the spirits in the nature, which gets activated, and they are not evil spirits, they are good spirits, hoping, and human beings get to say that we can appeal to them to make our life better. Now, this wreath floating is something that might remind you of making a boat out of paper, out of leaves, and also putting our diya on it, and floating it on the very sacred rivers. There is such a tradition among our women also. So here women put this, and they say that if your wreath floats a lot further, that means you will have a husband from very far away. So this is a very dear tradition. I would say it's a very close to heart tradition. It's not very awesome, or it's not having some official status. It is just a practice among women to make also. They start making forecasts. They start using cards or little stones or other things, and they start making fortune telling, and these are the things they believe that then you will be having bountiful and other things. So this wreath floating is one of the things. It's very, very romantic, and it's very interesting. It is of course, in Varanasi, I know that it is floated, for other purposes, like for praying for the soul, we do it, but here it is for different purposes. So Again, I'm telling that the reeds, they are not, they are biodegradable, by the way, because they are all made of flowers and leaves, not any artificial material, no plastic. So if they even get drowned to the river later on, of course, and so the fire gets, extinguished, it doesn't matter because it is all again recycled in the nature. So floating the reeds is a very important ritual for girls, for young girls. Mostly it's unmarried young girls. Now, I want to talk to you about also certain things if you are interested about Ukrainian traditional wedding, because the weddings are universal and they happen like, they are not festivals like we have a kind of a festival which is organized by a society or a group of, like, let's say a cinema festival or a rock festival or a music festival like that. Also, there are many in Ukraine, but I picked up those which are absolutely universal and absolutely important. They will not go away. They will not be changed. So the traditional wedding is very important, and it has definitely a lot of similarities, like in many other societies, mostly like patriarchal societies. This trend is also changing today, but traditional wedding still takes place in villages. The bride's mother is blessing the daughter. First of all, giving away the daughter. This concept of giving away the daughter still exists here. And like we have, the women, they start singing even 7 days before. They come and they start singing in the village home. I'm telling about village, not about the cities. So here you can see that the parents bless and the bride, the squire singing wedding songs. Wedding songs are very important. Wedding is called vesilya in Ukrainian. Veselya comes from the word veselo, which is merry, which is, something happy. So it is, Vesilya has the root of that word. And it's very, very interesting that the songs are, sometimes there are sad songs that the daughter is leaving. As you know, we have also such songs. And there is a lot of crying when the daughter leaves. The mother cries and the relatives cry. So it's the same way. And also, this is the bridegroom is tossed over the fence. There are certain traditions, like they also have a tradition of some people go and ask for money. We will not let you enter. Like, this is the same thing that we have also in India in many parts, that the groom is not allowed to enter. That you want to come to marry, you must you must first pay for all that. It is joke, definitely, but it's a nice folk custom. And sometimes they are thrown over the fence. It's an age-old tradition that I can show you this. This is again from the central and central western part of Ukraine. Here you can see the horse carriages proceeding to the church in different carriages. Of course, the marriage is taking place in the church here, while in India maybe it is on the site. You don't have to really go to the temple. It's different, but you have to go to the church to get it, and then you stand on again on the rushnik, and above you will be a kind of a crown is held, and the prayers are heard, like the mantra is read, and the marriage is sanctified. Apart from this, there is the civil marriage, where you have to put signature and make it a legal document. That is also there. And the headscarf is put. You see, young girls do not use the headscarf because it is the tradition, like, we have the ghungat. Ghungat is something that the married woman. In the similar way, I was struck when I saw that they were telling that the braids are for young women. And when you have to make it into you have to make a hairstyle, and you have to cover your head with a kerchief, headscarf. So then you're already married. So this is a very important thing, that it has also some similarity with the married women's status that, in our societies they have. Maybe the dress is a little bit different, but that the hairstyle, that the braids are for the young and unmarried, and then the hairstyle was very spectacular. And Ukrainian women in old times, of course, they carried a long braid, and that was the tradition. You can see in all traditional drawings. Here you see another important is the karavai. Karavai is the bread, and the drink is made from the honey, which is mead. the wedding party, and the karavai is very important. And I would say karavai is one of the things. It's a huge feast. It's a once in a lifetime feast, and the whole village is invited. Today, in urban settings, you do not invite the whole city or even part or even the block of apartments you live. You may just invite the friends and you can go somewhere and have a celebration, but a celebration is a must. And the karavai should also be on the table. So there are certain elements which never die and never go away. So these are the things that the Ukrainians will continue to preserve. And today, more and more, women are not wearing the white wedding dress, they are wearing the vishivanka, and they are getting very close to the tradition. Today, what is happening is these traditions are getting reinforced, which is also a very interesting thing. Also, see, carrying icons. They also carry icons, and then, they go to the solemn procession, and this is village. They go around the village to show that they have already got married, and everyone blesses them. Everyone throws flowers or, gives them gifts and money. So it's a very, very auspicious occasion in the lives of the newlyweds. Now, I cannot not mention one of the largest minorities in Ukraine, which is a very specific indigenous people, Crimean Tatars. They are called Krimli. Krim is Crimea. Karimli is the word denoting them, but they have been for many centuries called Crimean Tatars. And the Crimean Tatars were formed in Crimea, so they are the indigenous people. And their influence is very big because they have kept their culture and identity absolutely unique and intact. And I cannot but mention this because everywhere in Ukraine there is a newly growing awareness about the culture, about the traditions of Crimean Tatar because of what has happened, the occupation of Crimea by Russia. Yeah, it is a political event because these people have underwent a lot of pressure, a lot of oppression over centuries, I would say, especially during the last century. And there was almost a huge genocide committed with the deportation of 1944. But let me turn to the culture which is surviving and which will survive. That is, it's a unique Turkic group, which is Islamic, which is, they have their faith is Islam, but they are a unique group of people who are absolutely different from any other in the region. They have European influences and they have Turkic and they have Islamic influences through the rich history of the region. The Crimea's positioning is a very important thing, and Crimean Tatars' identity is one of the most Crimean that is there in this world. What is Crimean? Crimean is Crimean Tatar identity. And of course, Islam plays a big role, and the festivals like Kurban Bayram or Oraza Bayram and the Ramadan or the Ramzan, they also celebrate like all others. They have the fasting and then looking at the moon and, eating after the sun has set, the same. But the very important thing is these traditions were kept intact. And I want to talk about not so much the religion, because you know about the religion all over the world. Islamic religion is the same. They are mostly Sunnis, not Shias, but they are not so orthodox. This is very important, that the status of women for Crimean Tatars is almost equal, and you have fantastic women film actors, women singers who have won international acclaim, and women scientists, women doctors, and everyone. And their version of Islam doesn't discriminate women. So this is a very important element in understanding Crimean Tatar traditions. You can see this ornament. This is a unique silver or gold work which has these little, like a wire, very fine weaving kind of thing. So this kind of ornament is used by the Crimean Tatars as one of their most national. And I know in India we have similar patterns made in Odisha with silver. Now, this is, I want to talk to you about the tree of life. This is another very important, again, coming back to Crimea, there are, always flowers and the motifs because it's a warm place. And you see the Crimean Tatar dress, and they have the blue, and I forgot to tell you about the tamga. This is the national symbol, which is called the tamga. This light blue color and the yellow. It's something even similar to the Ukrainian flag is blue and yellow, and Tatars have the same colors of their flag consists of this blue color, and the emblem is this, as the emblem of the indigenous people. And the traditional, this embroidery of life, the tree of life is very, very important. And you see intricate embroideries. You can see these on the dresses, with golden threads and silver threads. It's different. You can see this is different from the embroideries of the rushniki of the others. This is very different, very soft. And the dances are beautiful. Women dance beautifully, and there are very interesting. One of the dances that is very important is Haitarma, which is coming home. Homecoming is a very important event because the Tatars have faced deportation, and while they started coming back to Crimea in the early 1990s, Haitarma became a very important event in anybody's life. And they still dream of going back to Crimea, the ones that have, that are facing exile in Ukraine. Now, the tasty cuisine, I just cannot tell you that how tasty they are. They make the burek, which is in Balkans, cheburek it is called. It is like a samosa, but they call it samsa also, They have it the dough, which is having some fillings and fried. Then there are a lot of the soups and the lentils, kebab, and all the other dishes, which we find basically some of the similarity to the Mughal dishes, Mughlai cuisine. I would like to just tell you that with this, I would close and I would look forward to questions. Thank you so much. I know I could speak more, but I think that if you have at least got a little glimpse, little scoop from the huge pot of Ukrainian culture, I will be very happy, and I will be happy to join you again as much as needed and as many times as needed. I would tell Dr. Philip Chuk to always tell me when I'm needed. I'm very happy to talk to you. Please, questions.
Thank you so much, Professor.
So we all have questions.
Could you speak louder because I cannot hear you?
Hello, ma'am.
Yes,
am I
please.
audible? So we all have questions, and so we would like to start with Samika. Hello, ma'am. Am I audible?
Only louder, please.
So my question would be just what was the initial spark that led you to focus on international relations and cultural diplomacy of India and Ukraine?
You mean for me?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. So it's not related to the festivals because I'm in the territory of festivals. Okay. For me, if you live somewhere, like how can you live without the people that are surrounding you and their culture, which is so important for us Indians? I think we bring our ideas, but we need to take also and look at how they live. And wherever I have been, I always try to look into things that are common and that can unite us. So that was my ideology, which I live with this ideology. So I want to try to find common grounds. And I don't want to look at the differences because the differences are always there. Even brother and sister, they are different. So I like to find the common ground, and my search for the common ground brought me to this avenue of extreme, extreme similarities in human beings, in their approaches. Even if I don't understand the language, at times I did not know the language and I could understand many things. So there are things you can understand without language. There are symbols, there are certain practices which can unite people. even if they are distant and you don't know them. So it's never late to understand. And that's has been my attempt, to try to understand better. I'm not sure if I understand fully, because in your whole life you cannot understand anything fully. So this the path goes on, the search goes on, and with each day I come to discover new and new things. Thank you for the question. Of course, my discipline is very different. I teach diplomacy, I teach very different things, but I was fascinated to hear that you want to listen to festivals, so which is something of a very different, very original. And these are also very important tools for cultural diplomacy, for keeping your messages and bringing peoples together. So what diplomats really do, they bring people together. So basically, you just don't do blah 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 by going everywhere. You do certain very important things, and these are the things you build on, and of course I believe in people to people relationship, because that is what makes us strong.
Professor, I have a question.
Yeah,
so
sure.
could you provide one example of successful project to promote these festivals, like any of the festivals that you were talking about in India?
In India, oh, well, very interesting. Well, in India, I think, the midsummer thing will be very good. And of course, I think the Pisanki will be also good in making kids come together, or students coming and trying to paint on the eggs. I think that will be a very important thing. And I think the Ukrainian embassy can also help in bringing together to make a workshop where you can paint the different motifs and someone trained can teach you. That is one. I mean, you can't repeat the festival as it is, like you go to the church and have that. But of course, baking the bread, also there are people who can help you how to bake the bread. Have some workshop of some cuisine related to the festivals can be done. I think that the New Year time is good for it also. The Easter time, because in Easter we have the Easter eggs, but they are chocolate eggs sold commercially in India. It's different. So we can have those elements, which are universal, which are achievable. Like you get colors, you get eggs, you get eggshells. You can always do that. Also, you may use the motifs. You can paint pictures also. Not necessarily you have to use eggs. Also, you can do that. I think this midsummer thing will be a bit difficult, although the weather will be okay. But the midsummer thing, jumping into the water and jumping over the fire, that might not be. But it might be interesting to at least listen and read about the ethnographic studies. I would say if you take a look at the Ivan Voropai, his name is. It's a 2-volume of Ukrainian culture, and there are many things, many of the sayings are very similar to what we have in Sanskrit, Khanas Vachan, which has these very important. There are many things which are similar to the Ukrainians. For example, if you go, you don't call back, you don't call back the person. Like if you're leaving already, you don't call back because that is an omen. If the person has said goodbye and you go, then you don't call back the person. That is an omen. I think, I don't know, in my part of India it is like that. So I was very much, but I think the recipes of certain dishes for the occasion might be a good idea to start with. And of course, the dances and the decorations, that can also happen for women, yeah.
Do we have other questions?
So, ma'am, could you share a moment of success or like breakthrough in your work that felt particularly rewarding?
Can you come again, please, once again? Yeah.
Could you share a moment of success or a breakthrough in your work that felt particularly rewarding?
During the war, you mean?
No, like in general.
In
your
general,
work.
okay. In general, oh yes, definitely. I found a lot of success in a lot of things because people appreciate India a lot. People honor India a lot. I have met only appreciation, I have met only regard and respect. And of course, the intercultural projects are very important. Well, I would say my humble attempt to translate Ukrainian literature is one I have been successful in publishing. Another thing is I have been successful in making some projects on Rabindranath Tagore and Mahatma Gandhi here, because the core of nonviolence, what it is, and the idea that is very much respected. There is a Gandhi statue which was established in Kiev in 2020 during the 150th anniversary. And I started working on the Gandhi. We every year have a project called An Eye for an Eye Makes Everyone Blind. And I do it for a week. It's 2nd of October, our Mahatma Gandhi, and 5th of October is Václav Havel, who is a Czech president. Václav Havel is a very famous Czech dramatist and Czech writer who became the president. And he also got the Gandhi Prize. He was a dissident. His birthday is 5th. And then 9th is the birthday of John Lennon. So we celebrate this week as a week of peace and nonviolence. So that is taken very well by everyone, because even for the American continent, John Lennon spoke about peace. Václav Havel spoke about peace and nonviolence, and of course Gandhi. So the three trio makes a very interesting let's say, transnational transfer of ideas. And I know the Czech embassy supports us, and also the American embassy. So this is one project that is also very, very important. I would also like to say that there are a lot of respect for nonviolence in the east of Europe. There are a lot of leaders in the Baltics, in Poland, like Valensa, for example, Adam Miknik, all of them. They are very solid leaders. And we have also people in other countries. And the literature in East Europe is also very interesting. Ukrainian literature, of course, also East European literature. You have fantastic poets and writers in many of these languages, and all of them are preserved, and they deserve the classical treatment. Not many of them are translated. The classical ones, like Mickiewicz in Polish, for example, or Julius Slovatsky. I don't know if anybody did it, but it's quite difficult to probably get them treated. Also, Bulgarian literature, many other things. There's a lot to be learned. And of course, they know more about India in all these countries. They have departments studying Sanskrit, Hindi, Bengali, and many other languages. But we know very little. This is the gap. So what India we can do is to get to know more about the east of Europe, and of course Ukraine, because I'm sitting in Ukraine. Yeah.
Next question will be for Martin. Ma'am, am I audible?
Yeah. I'm sorry to ask you to shout, but if like.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Sure.
So I would like to know how Ukrainian festivities have evolved in response to the current political and social circumstances.
Okay. You know what? I would tell you, there are celebrations which are state level celebrations, like the Independence Day, the Day of the Flag, the Day of remembering the martyrs. And there is also another festival which is called Pakrova. Pakrova is a very serious festival, because Pakrova is something that is worshipping Mother Mary when she comes as the protector. And it almost always coincides with what we have, Dasera or Durga Puja. It is very similar. And the idea of a woman protector, and here Mother Mary, and the image of hers is very much venerated. And so therefore, I find that there is this respect, the respect for the female god, despite the fact that there is a big patriarchal trend in Christianity in general, but we find uh, the mother of the God is the mother of Jesus is very much treated very well. Now, evolution has taken place. It has evolved and it has adapted definitely to technology, to circumstances when you have changes from the rural to the urban setting, when you have changes in style of life, like today, the style of life is very different. I will rather say that there is, I could make this Anjali, the Anjali for the pujas we have. So I could do it in Zoom today, because my relatives will say, oh, come on Zoom, we will have something, or Skype, we can have, Skype was there, so you could have it. So we adapt. Ukrainians similarly adapt. The war. Yes, the war has taken a big toll on human lives. There's a lot of depression, there's a lot of problems, but at the same time, when we have a celebration, uh, people still remember, first of all, they are always praying. There is when you realize in these situations the value of life, you understand that, any moment anything can happen to anyone. Nobody is safe. Nowhere it is safe. So you value what is most valuable. I think little bit humanity understood during the pandemic. We had this feeling, all the time. But a war made it come to your doors. The war made it more acute. In these conditions, you realize the most valuable. So therefore, any festival, you try to bring it, you try to engage in it, and you try to help build more positive vibes. Because the more negative, it is not going to solve, it is not going to solve. But so the resilience is that maintaining continuity of these festivals. Yes, the Vertep happened. Yes, Malanka happened. Lots of kids in the villages went caroling. Lots of people, even day before yesterday, I was at the closing of the International Film Festival here. The kids were singing the carols, and kids were on the stage, they were singing. The alert sounded, and we went to the shelter. So again, we came back. The prize distribution continued after the alert was over. So it is like we have to adapt to it, but we cannot lose the festivals, because then that is a mark of defeat. That is what the Ukrainians think. We cannot let our souls be defeated. The body is different, the body can be killed, but the souls cannot be defeated. That's the message.
Ma'am, am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
So, ma'am, my question is, which region, according to you, is the next most underestimated future geopolitical hotspot that academia is not paying attention to yet?
Who is not paying attention?
That academia is not paying attention to yet.
Well, I already told you that academia in India is very poor. I would not say that, because there may be pockets of very learned people doing a lot of good things. But systematically, I think the East European history is not very well studied. And also, I think we are not studying the regions of Africa. We are not studying. The moment, we understand, we do not understand. We are underestimating that region. In fact, our international studies need to be a lot more deeper, a lot more extensive and intensive, both. Because if you want to go to area studies, domain expertise is very less, very less. Almost all the time, I find foreign officers coming for the IFS service. They have no experience in the domain. So they come and they start learning, So that has been Achilles' heel for our foreign policy, I would say. So we need more area expertise and domain expertise for people who are going to work as professional diplomats and also analysts, for us to know, because Indians cannot afford not to know, we must know everything. So for Western Europe, we are still better. Maybe best we know United States, Canada, maybe Britain because of our ties. but the rest are a little bit slow. Maybe German, France, okay, but we really need to work more with East Europe. Scandinavian countries, East Europe, these are very resourceful, and trust me, these are very important countries, and these are the countries of the future.
The next question is for Kiara.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
How do you think members of the public can contribute to fostering peace and mutual understanding in India?
Who can foster peace where?
How do you think members of the public in India can contribute to fostering peace and mutual understanding?
With who? Peace where? With whom? Peace in Ukraine, you mean?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Yeah, good. Look, it's very, very important thing is that, you get to know about Ukraine like you get to know more. That's one of the things that you can definitely do is to engage. I believe that for international relations students, it's important to write papers, study and write papers, write articles. And of course, if you want to get interested, we have internship opportunities. We can offer you that. And that is very academic. That is not festivals only. That is more, very rigorous. So that is another way. I believe another way that I'm exploring is to make a peer-to-peer, student-to-student talking. I want my students to talk to you so that you understand your generation. Your generation will understand your generation. I'm of an older generation. So the peers talking may be a very good way of also opening up minds. Opening up minds is important. And also, what we need to do is to not look through stereotypes. There are stereotypes about every country. You should get rid of the stereotypes. First, start looking at it, and then you either reinforce the stereotypes or you get rid of them. Because this is very dangerous if you look at any country through stereotypes. So it applies to Ukraine also.
That's the last question. Thank you so much. And,
I have one
Yeah.
something to, if you don't mind.
Please, please.
Yeah, firstly, may I thank you, Dr. Ghosh, for this most fascinating talk. And I recollect I've enjoyed every lecture of yours that I've attended. And this undercurrent of resilience, which you started off with and held it throughout this, very stimulating overview of festivals. It just gives me so many things to work on. So just a little background, and then I actually have a question based on the talk itself. I would just like to say that this particular interaction is within the context of a course that we have at Manipal, which is on cultural diplomacy. And I made it a point that this semester that it would focus on Central and Eastern Europe, and that it would also have fora and festivals as its main theme. And so I think by far, yeah, so there is also something else to it, because our whole entire undergraduate program in European languages and intercultural studies has now undergone a massive organizational rehaul. So I'm looking at all possible avenues of ensuring the continuity of this course, because I know it is not there in the newer format. And whatever we do in other areas of international relations, it sometimes worries me that there's not enough space, as you have rightly pointed out, towards it's very traditionally like US, and still molded by more, let's say, other preoccupations and perceptions. So that would be one area of work that I would like to stay in touch with you on. But now coming back to the talk, and this was one thing which I had not paid enough attention to. It's with regards to the governance structure of the Ukrainian Orthodox Church itself. Is it something distinctive? Is it something distinct from the Russian Orthodox Church, and is it also something autocephalous in the sense that can it elect its own head, or is this relation between the two Orthodox denominations? And it's just a hunch, although I think I should look it up. If the split between the Russian Orthodox Church or and the Ukrainian one, if the two separate entities, has, I mean, if just pushing the question a bit, has it been one of the factors to kind of strain ties in the past?
Okay, I got your question. It's a very valid question. It's a very serious question. And I would say this is one of the very serious issues to be discussed. Again, let's turn the wheel back to the time of the revolution, the October Bolshevik Revolution. When atheism started, churches getting destroyed, priests getting banned, and everything, So there was total atheism. So church was not there. So what happened to the churches? The churches went underground. And they were killed, priests were killed, they were destroyed. There was Ukraine was not fully under the Soviet Union. The western part of Ukraine was under Austro-Hungary. So there was a church existing, and a large part of the Western Ukrainians are extremely, serious believers. Okay. So there was, after the Soviet Union, during the Second World War, when it captured west of Ukraine, there were priests of the Ukrainian, like the Greek Catholics. There are different divisions. I often questioned also to hear that, you have one Jesus Christ and you have so many churches. Why is it so? First of all, this is not the Catholic Church like we have in Poland, It's different. It's Orthodox Church. Orthodox Church had its own, like the basic foundation was in Kiev. Kiev started as the Christian state, Christianity came through Kiev. And then it spread everywhere. And Moscow was not existing that time, okay? But later, when did the church's activities started again getting legitimized? It started because Stalin himself studied in a seminary, studied in a spiritual seminary. He had a religious education, by the way. So then when Stalin's time, it comes up, then the churches, because they understood that people were afraid of the communists, So people were not confessing. So the confessions in the churches were used as information sources. So from the very beginning, the church as an institution was used by the secret services for eavesdropping on people. During the Soviet times, it was that, not everywhere, but it was a large part of the priests who were allowed to be priests and to walk around. They were all performing parallelly. They were like officers of the security service. Honestly, that is how I came to know. I was shocked. Later on, when in 1988 Gorbachev comes to power, there is glasnost perestroika. I'm jumping, so I'm not mentioning. This was a tool. But that doesn't mean that every individual became, every individual, when they think of God, at least, there is something inside the human being which you cannot destroy. That is the godliness, So belief in God remained within the human beings. Whether it went to the church or not, whether the churches were not destroyed, nothing, it was there during this period. But a large part of it, like if you went to the church officially, then you will be noted. You will not get promoted at work. And many things happened during the Soviet times because taking your kid for baptism, no, you cannot do that because, no such practices. So churches were existing just to show to the world that we haven't banned religion. And churches were used to eavesdrop on people. When Gorbachev comes, 1988, there is this 1,000 years of Christianity that was celebrated in Kiev. And it was a huge celebration. And then all religious institutions were allowed to function freely under glasnost and perestroika. There the change comes. And then, the churches started. So there happened like, all the churches that were there in Ukraine. At some point, I'm not really mentioning to you that at some point, even before the Soviet Union, there was this schism in the church, which made like Moscow usurped and said that we are the Orthodox churches,
Right.
and
I
nothing
know
else
this.
exists. So there was this problem that the Ukrainian church was sidelined and it was kind of destroyed and kind of delegitimized. But until, it's a long story, so I would tell you that there were autocephalous church, there was it's called Autokefalna, then there was this Greek Catholic, there were the Roman Catholics, there was the Kiev Patriarchate, the Moscow Patriarchate, lots of these divisions. To be frank, an end was put to all this. The churches exist. The Greek Catholics exist. They have a church.
Okay.
The Greek Catholics were banned. They were killed almost. The whole of it. But they were saved by the Pope. They are not the Roman Catholic, but the Greek Catholics also are close to the Pope. Anyway, the person who gave, they call it Tomos, which was given to Ukraine to have their own church. That was in 2019, before the war, before the pandemic.
Oh, right.
So,
Quite
yeah.
recent, and been quite. As I
Yeah,
thought, I kind of
Tomos
had a
was
hunch that it
achieved.
would be something
No,
quite
there was
recent.
this in 1995, the church split. There was a schism. There was a split, and there was one church which was the Kiev Patriarchate, and the other called it Moscow Patriarchate. And both said that we are Ukrainian Orthodox Church. So it was Ukrainian Orthodox Church, Kiev Patriarchate, which was not recognized, but the Ukrainian Church, and then the Moscow Patriarchate. Now, the Moscow Patriarchate Church, there is a problem. The Moscow Patriarchate churches that were existing here got a lot of money from here because they owned a lot of estates of the church. They had huge resources, and they also they were used as a tool by Russia. They were used as a tool for their kind of soft power, that kind of thing. And it's very easy to woo through religion. It's very easy to woo common people by making them afraid of God and other things. It's very easy to manipulate. So that is there. Having said that, they found in many places lots of these priests were engaging in separatism. Those are documented, So there was a very big alertness of the Ukrainians as what can be done. So at that point, Ukrainians didn't push the church, didn't make them illegal, but had the tomos, which is called, tomos is given to the church to have official denomination. So in 2019, it finally happened. Which was from the Constantinople, this ecumenical so he gave it. So when that happened, so Ukraine, and then Moscow was very much upset because how can that happen, etc. It was a very big noise. So the church getting the status made the country, like now there is this Orthodox Church of Ukraine, which is trying to unite everyone. Now, in many places, the Moscow Patriarchate churches are really, because of the war, and because they are going against the national interest and they are engaging in propaganda on behalf of the Russians. So some of them are closed. But there are some operating even, So it is a very tricky thing, but I believe that slowly Ukraine is going to the realization of its aim that each state should have their own church, and you cannot have a church controlling you from outside. So that was what was happening. So I'm not a religious ecumenical person, so I try to understand it from the social, no, international point of view, which I believe it was very dangerous for the national interest of the country. Like if you have why do we ban the terrorist organizations which come under mosques or come under some religious institutions? We try to ban them or limit them. So in the same way, I think limiting something might not be so you can start raising questions on democracy and other things. But if you look at the point of national interest and if you see what has been done and documented, so then you come to the conclusion that all was not okay.
Thank you very much, because I think that was something which just occurred to
I think
me.
if my colleague wants to add something, Miss Tatiana, would you like to add something? She's the third secretary of the embassy, so she can add something. They have more knowledge than I have.
Very good day to everybody, actually. Mridula, I'm fascinated by your gorgeous, absolutely presentation. You have very, you have a real understanding of Ukrainian culture and a real understanding of our history and the whole processes which took place. Actually, there is always a lot which can be added when it goes about culture, because every culture is rich and you cannot cover all topics in one lecture. So I think that for the first time, everything what you have already told is absolutely enough. So, I mean,
Okay,
and,
no, about the religion, the Moscow Patriarchy. Do you want to say anything? Did I say everything okay? I mean, my perception, I said.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you.
Well,
that is a very large topic, if we start to discuss it won't end in weeks.
I was working with the United Nations, and that time I touched on this topic. And I wrote a paper in which my boss included it in our report. And there I wrote that this tendency might give rise to separatism in Ukraine. That was my main fear, that, this will break the country apart. And that's what really started happening. Yeah.
It was quite prescient, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it that time.
But you saw it coming. Yeah.
Like when we monitored, from the UN, I did a lot of monitoring, so I could understand that these are things that are going to happen. Yeah.
Because this is a dimension which is like completely escaped attention or like coverage, at least in India.
Yeah, and coverage, and also because the Russians are having a political color to it and are telling to the world that their church is banned in Ukraine. They are not telling why it is getting banned and what they have done. So that's omitted. So that's difficult. Yeah.
Yeah. But to know that the churches were used as institutions of propaganda and purging already during Stalin times, it's a kind of
churches were hiding weapons. Churches were hiding weapons in the church.
A lot of dots can now be
connected. In the church near us, there was a huge store weapon found exactly in the Moscow church.
Yeah.
Together with all the books and the literature for that propaganda.
A lot of dots can now be connected. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Madam. Maybe Dr. Philip would like to say something.
On behalf of the entire class, I would like to express our heartfelt gratitude to you, ma'am, for sharing such valuable insights. Your words have truly informed us, and we really appreciate the time and effort that you've taken to share your perspectives with us. And it will definitely add a lot of depth to our ongoing classroom discussions. I would also like to thank our faculty who organized and made the event possible. And once again, thank you, ma'am, for your words.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Volodymyr, if you're there.